So far we had seen this CubeMX tool with KLU Vision. This is one choice. There is another choice. It's called STM32 CubeIDE. So this one is also very useful. This is an alternative solution for this one. You can also use this tool to generate the C code and compile the C code. Remember, this tool, we installed two different tools. One is to generate the C code generator. And this one is the compiler. But this one is an integrated tool. It means if you install this one tool, you don't need to install anything else. So it has already inbuilt it has inbuilt C code generator and also inbuilt C code compiler. And you don't need to separately download and install the link driver and other libraries and so on. This is much more easier. It's they introduced this one maybe like 1 or 2 years ago. So this tool is quite effective. You can also download and use this software. So now I will show you a small introduction about this tool. And we will see also one sample project, that is a LED blinking. That is your first project in this microcontroller course. Okay, we will see the installation procedure and then we will see the first project. So STM32 Cube IDE, this is the other solution you can use in this course. Okay, so upon the completion of this lecture section, you will be able to understand installation of this tool IDE and the first project LED blinking. And of course, you have to explore more by yourself, and programming is usually a self-learning process. So in this course, I am not going to teach how to do the C programming because you have already learned about how to do C programming. So here you are going to generate the C code and you are going to edit the C code based on the application you want to implement. After you edit the C code, for example, now you want to set up the timer, you want to blink the LEDs only every 1 minute or every 60 seconds once or every 30 seconds once, or there are some other applications you want to read the sensor data and then you want to display the sensor data in some other interfaces. So some practical applications. So you can write the C code inside the compiler, and then I will show you where to write the C code, the user C code, after you generate the standard one. And yes, after that you will download the C code into your hardware, that is the microcontroller. Then you will implement the function. So try to spend more time, watch some reference videos and watch some forums, and try to learn more about this tool and how to use this STM32l476 in practical projects. Okay, so again, this 32-bit ARM-based microcontroller, whatever the microcontroller you are going to use, especially from ST-based, you can use this STM32 CubeIDE. STM32 CubeIDE. So this is the tool now we are going to see. Okay, this is just the same general topic that we had seen in the past couple of weeks. And it's mainly this microcontroller is getting more attention. It's because of its low cost as 8-bit microcontrollers. You know, just a few years back, we were using only 8-bit microcontrollers. So there were quite some limitations in this 8-bit microcontroller. That's why nowadays we are using this 32-bit microcontroller, STM32. This was STM 8-bit, STM8. Okay, so the best starting point can be just referring the website, vendor website, that is the ST Microelectronics website, and you can see different types of microcontrollers they have. So you can also use this link. So you will learn more about different types of Cortex and their functions and what are the differences between them. So you can see the ARM Cortex based both MCUs and MPUs. So that is microcontroller units and microprocessor units. In this course, of course, you are going to only focus on MCU, microcontroller units. If you are looking for some MPU to run with the Linux, MPU means you can even use install some operating system inside. If you are more interested in this programming, then try to also explore more about the MPU and how can you download some kind of operating system, install and run some application on this MPU. ST Microelectronics, yes, it classifies the MCU into 4 groups. So we are going to focus only on MCU. So MCU can be classified into 4 groups according to ST Microelectronics. So here you can see high performance, mainstream, ultra low power, and wireless. So I already showed you in the chart just before. So you can select whatever the MCU you want based on your application need. So we are going to use this ultra low power series. So it has F0, F1, F2, F3, and so on. And each one we have different versions of the core and specific Cortex architecture. So they call Cortex MX. So M0, M1, M2, and so on. The X is a variable. So we are going to use the L4 series, as I mentioned, because this is cheap and better or cheap and best for the beginners. And if you are really targeting some wireless applications, you will better go with the other type of microcontroller. So for example, after you graduate and if you want to do some leisure time project, then you better just go with some other type of microcontroller. Basically, all are the same, using the same logic. So yes, this is the hardware. The hardware will look like this. This is the one I am going to give today afternoon in the lab. So you will start to connect this to your PC. So you have to connect this through the USB port. Here you have the cable somewhere. So this is the cable that you have to connect to one end and then the another end to your USB port of your laptop. Yes, so nuclear boards, discovery boards, evaluation boards, there are so many different versions and each board has its own features. Cost, yes, cost can be, it can go up to $600 US per board actually. So really based on your application, you have to choose the correct board. So the one we are going to use is not quite expensive, but this is quite powerful one. Reasons to use STM32l476 this that we had already seen. It's a powerful one with multiple features. It has a floating point unit and you can program with either C or C++. So based on your strength, you can use whatever. You can generate the code either in C or C++. So it will give you option when you click generate code. Actually, you have to go to the file and save. Then it will create a C code and it will ask you to choose either C or C++. So if you want to use C++, that is also okay. But yeah, of course, you can use the C as a beginner. And you can use ARM's embed platform also. There are some limitations, so I am not really going to use this at least in my course. Embed is an online-based program as a compiler. You do not need to really install that in your PC, so everything is going to be online. If you want to work with this tool, you need to be connected with the internet. And also whatever the code you type that belongs to the company who is having this platform embed. It's that is according to their license terms and conditions. If you read more into detail, you will know that. That's okay for beginners, but I do not feel personally comfortable to use Embed in my projects. At least if you create some code, you should have some privacy for that. So, and of course, this one can work with IoT sensors, and it supports even audio record in some cases. For example, if you go with a discovery board, you can even have an audio record, the microcontroller. So these are the reasons you are going to use this microcontroller in your final project for digital electronic students. If you look at the data sheet of this board, yes, you can see a lot of features such as clock speed, memory size, etc. So I strongly recommend you to do two things. First one is called a reference manual. Reference manual of STM32 microcontroller. And the second one is called a data sheet. Data sheet of this specific microcontroller. Please take a look at that, because mostly all your programming, you are going to use this data sheet. So you will see some keywords and how to use peripherals, initialization, configuration. So all the details are available in this data sheet. So you really have to see the at least read this data sheet and get some idea how to use this STM32 microcontroller. Without data sheet, you are not really you cannot really do programming of this microcontroller. And also in addition to the lecture, I recommend you to watch this video series that is introduced by DigiKey. If you look at this video also, they will ask you to go through this data sheet. So this data sheet is the very basic you have to see, no matter what, whatever the reference video you are looking at. Now we will see how to program this Nucleo board. For this purpose, first you have to install and use different development tools, either CubeMX or CubeIDE. So if you look for tutorials in Google and YouTube, mostly they used the combination of STM32CubeMX, that is the C code generator based on peripherals initialization by the user, and KLU Vision. So if you really look for the STM32 microcontroller in YouTube or Google, you will definitely find many people or many developers are using this combination, CubeMX and KLU Vision. So this is for C code generation and this is for C code editing. And nowadays, recently, many people also start to use this CubeIDE, because CubeIDE is much more simple. You can just install one tool and then start the programming. So we will briefly see the integrated and recently released tool, that is the STM32 CubeIDE, in this part of the lecture. So I recommend you, please Google it, just STM32 CubeIDE, and you will find as the first in the top, and you can just click it and you can install it. The same procedure, of course, you have to enter your email and register it, and they will send you the link to download it. So after you download it, you open it, then you will see this window. So you during the project, you better connect the hardware in your PC, then it will start to read your hardware. So that is what I mentioned here. You better connect the hardware STM32l476 RG board, that is the Nucleo board, to your PC in the USB port.